One of the most important characteristics of a Muslim is that he remains in a positive state of mind, whatever the circumstances. He tries for the best and looks for wisdom. A Muslim is never in despair, not even in most difficult moments. That is because they believe that Allah is the creator of all things, that He has the power to create whatever He wants by saying it to be. According to Quran verse 216, the faithful knows that any trying times he finds himself in are a God-sent test. He takes things in his stride, recalling what Allah Almighty has advised him. It may be that you hate something when it is good for you, and it may be that you love something when it is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. In the kingdom of Babylon, idols were worshipped as though they were gods. Ibrahim's father Azar was a well-known sculptor, and he would craft idols from stone or wood. As a child, Ibrahim would watch his father work, often using the finished idols as playthings. Ibrahim couldn't understand why people were worshipping these ornaments of stones in the temples. His father explained that the statues represented gods and people would offer them food and other gifts whilst asking for favors. This explanation didn't satisfy Ibrahim. In his heart, he felt that it was wrong. As he grew older, Ibrahim became even more convinced that the idols his people worshipped were false. How often he would question, how could statues of wood and stones be gods? Especially considering the statues would have no power to either benefit or harm, being mere objects. One night, Ibrahim traveled up to the mountain to watch the sky and observe nature. A while later, Ibrahim heard a voice calling him. It was none other than his Lord Allah. He commanded Ibrahim to submit and become a Muslim. Trembling, Ibrahim fell to the ground. He prostrated himself before Allah, crying out, I submit to the Lord of the universe. Eventually, he got to his feet and made his way back home. Ibrahim's life was forever transformed, and his heart was filled with great peace. Ibrahim now had a brand new mission to call his people to the truth and help them accept Allah as their one true God. First, he turned to his father who he loved so dearly. Ibrahim said, O Father, why do you worship that which doesn't hear, doesn't see, and cannot avail you in anything? O Father, I have got knowledge which you have not, so follow me, I will guide you to a straight path. Angrily, his father rejected Ibrahim's request and told his son to get out of his sight. Undeterred, Ibrahim decided to channel his efforts towards bringing the people of his towns towards the message of Allah, but they rejected his words and threatened him with violence. Ibrahim was given inspiration to adopt a different approach to change the hearts and minds of his people. Ibrahim's plan. On the eve of a big celebration, Ibrahim knew that the townsfolk would be leaving to share a huge feast. When they had left, Ibrahim went into their temple to carry out a prophet mission, to demolish their idols except one, the largest idol, so that he could explain to them the error of their ways. When the townspeople returned, they were horrified. Their idols lay in ruins. They quickly remembered that Ibrahim had been encouraging them to worship Allah alone and to submit to the monotheistic faith of Ibrahim. They asked him, Are you the one who has done this? Ibrahim said, No. This statue, the biggest of them all, has done it. Ask them about it. The townspeople replied, You know they cannot speak. And Ibrahim said, Then how can you worship things that can neither speak or see? They can't even protect themselves. Have you all lost your minds? They were silent, knowing that Ibrahim had made a valid point, but their pride wouldn't allow them to reject the idols they'd been worshipping for generations. Anger surged the crowd. The crowd begged for Ibrahim to be burned. They wanted revenge for the damage to their idols, and only Ibrahim's blood would do. The decision to burn him alive was sanctioned by Nimrod, the king of Babylon, and his priests. News traveled fast, and thousands of people from all over the kingdom arrived to witness the execution. A huge pit was dug in the ground and filled with wood. It was the biggest fire anyone had ever seen. Ibrahim was shackled, his hands and feet chained tightly together, and he was fitted into a giant catapult that would throw him in the fire. At that moment, Ibrahim was visited by the angel Jibril, who said, "Is there anything that you wished for, Ibrahim?" Ibrahim replied that his only wish was for Allah to be pleased with him. He could have asked for anything, but instead of begging for his life to be saved, he chose to ask for the blessing of God. Allah would not allow the Prophet to be executed. He ordered the fire to be nothing but cool and peaceful for Ibrahim, and the fire obeyed, burning only Ibrahim's chains. Ibrahim walked out of the fire without a bead of sweat upon his skin or hint of smoke coming from his clothing. Spectators gasped in amazement, crying, "Ibrahim's God has saved him from the flames." So that is the story of Nabi Ibrahim got to be thrown into the fire. The lesson that we can learn from this story is that we should always rely on Allah, and to remember, as in the Quran, it says, "Do not give up and do not be downhearted.